What a great global choir. That was terrific. This year, and I urge you to look and pay attention. The annual state of the association can be found in your booklet. It is printed out. I urge you to peruse the accomplishments of 2019-2020. This gives the broad scope of issues we address and the ongoing challenge we accept to be present to building the kingdom of God. In our association and friends, we have some 1,200 priests, diocesan and religious, and over 200 friends, men and women committed to the spirit of Vatican II, who support our vision and our mission. Our leadership team of 15 men guides, researches, prays, and acts through the priorities decided upon at each annual assembly. Here are the current members of our leadership team. As you know, every year, several members of the leadership team go off and we vote for new members. This year, there are 7 candidates, and we elect 5 out of those 7. In our virtual reality, you all, the election is conducted through a monkey survey. This will be mailed to all eligible voters this evening. We have the biographies of each candidate in our booklet. So I urge you, please read and reflect on each candidate before voting. Shortly, the candidates will introduce themselves. We must vote and return through the monkey survey our votes by this Wednesday before the keynote address in the morning. So that's really important. Read the biographies, reflect, pray, and vote, but please don't put it off. Send that in before the Wednesday morning keynote address. The results will be announced at our business meeting Wednesday afternoon. You must vote for 5 of the 7. Again, please pay attention. If you want your vote counted, and you do, check your email tonight and get your vote in before Wednesday morning. Here are our 7 candidates.
I am Tulio Ramirez, a missionary priest from Colombia, South America. And I belong to a missionary congregation for foreign missions, also from Colombia, which name is Yarumal Missionaries. With them, I've been sent 2 different times to Africa for a total of 16 years. And I've been sent also 2 different times to the Bronx in New York for a total of 14 years this past May. I've been here in the Bronx for the last 9 years. And I joined AUSCP in 2015. To my surprise, 2 years later, I was elected into the leadership team of this association. Very happy, very nice. I was to bring and to be guarantee that we work on diversity, that we are diverse as a group, and that having an Hispanic priest from South America with an accent, and also having maybe my only experience of the United States is to be in the Bronx. It's a guarantee that diversity was happening with my presence. I've learned a lot here with my colleagues. I am very happy to be in this kind of team working and synodality, learning about synodality all together, and the camaraderie that we keep among ourselves. It is difficult for a pastor to be responding to many responsibilities and also to the aspirations and expectations of the LT work that we get to do. But being a pastor also brings to the association and to the leadership team some sense of fresh hand, pastoral work, and maybe down-to-earth approaches to many things. With the many things that are happening here in the USA, the society, and also in the church, and so many more things to come, I would imagine that nobody really wants to open up to think about realities of the Church Universal, the missionary realities of the church, and the whole global issues that we have to be concerned and involved in. But my presence as a person from other place offers some diversity for the association, is to stand for that openness. Thank you.
Hello, dear voting member of the AUSCP. This is Bernie in 2020. I see myself as the best candidate to preserve the historical memory of our association. Let's remember, those who ignore the mistakes of history are prone to repeat them. I'm an AUSCP founding father. It happened this way. During my 25 years working pastorally in Central America, that is to say in Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Guatemala, and in El Salvador, I enjoyed being a member of priest national associations which existed in those days in Guatemala and in El Salvador. In El Salvador, it's called COPESA, with over 450 members. And Cardinal Gregorio Rosa Chavez is a member to this day as he continues as a pastor in downtown San Francisco Parish. I discovered there in San Salvador, where there are priests organized, they can do great good for their national church while they affirm their own priesthood. So, when I returned full-time to the U.S., I went seeking like-minded men. We 27 then met in Mundelein in Chicago in 2011 to establish what canon law calls a free association. Before deciding to be a candidate, I'm 80 years old after all, I consulted with my doctoral podiatrist. He assured me that my feet were in good shape to run. So, if you want someone in leadership who is there from the beginning, and will hang in to the end, si Dios quiere. It's Bernie in 2020. Thank you.
When we came to renovate the church, I think I probably went a little further than if it was an African-American priest, you know, changing the images to look like the people in the pews and making up for the past, where African-Americans might not have been reflected in their churches in the way that they should have been. Black Lives Matter sign is in front of the church as a testimony. It was pulled down several times by a white guy who was angry walking past. So every time he pulled it down, I'd put a bigger one up until we have this enormous one. If you had pulled that one down, I would have put it up on the tower as a witness to, you know, who worships here and our interest in social change. when I came out here 30 years ago, and I was here illegally for 5 years, the church is where you gravitated to, where you were going to find community and connection. We're prepared to take a risk to help and further the cause of gospel values. As we say, it's walking the walk, it's talking the talk, and we have to be prepared to do that for everybody who comes through that door. And I think that's what Jesus calls us to do.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Neil Pizzullo, and I'm a priest with the Glenmere Home Missioners. I was born in upstate New York, grew up like every other kid in the middle class in the 70s without a care in the world. Somewhere along the line, I acquired degrees in business administration and worked as a salesman. I worked as a sales manager as well, both in retail and in direct sales. I did that for about 10 years, but the entire 10 years I was discerning priesthood. Sometimes it takes a long time to discern, I suppose. But in 1992, I joined the Glenmere Missioners. I was ordained in 1999. I did my theological studies at the Washington Theological Union in Washington, D.C. Now, as part of my formation in Glenmere, I made an extra effort to learn about Appalachian religion, Appalachian culture, Appalachian sociology, and to try and learn as much as I could about the Appalachian region. After I did all that, I was sent to the Mississippi Delta. I served for almost 12 years in the Little Rock Diocese in Arkansas. I served 3.5 years in the Delta, and then the other 8.5 years, I served in the Ouachita Mountains in western Arkansas. After 12 years in Arkansas, in 2011, I was elected to be the first vice president of the Glenmere community and moved to Cincinnati. It was in my 2 terms as vice president, or the 8 years I served as vice president, where I learned a lot about teamwork and collaboration. I'd always been members of a team. I've always seen the value there, but I actually saw firsthand how it can work. In my time in in my time in Cincinnati, I served in many national committees. I was involved with a group entitled the Conference of Major Superiors of Men, or the CMSM. I served on their board for a term, 3 years. I also served for 7 years as a director of Justice, Peace, Integrity, and Creation. That was a gift. It was there where I saw how different groups of people with common interests, common values, can work together to achieve a result. I think I see a lot of that with the AUSCP as well. My term as vice president ended about a year ago, and since January of this year, I've been serving as a missionary pastor in Eastern Tennessee, where I'm in the process of acquiring and pulling together a team of missioners to serve these counties in Eastern Tennessee. But I think it's really about teamwork. And as we pull things together, I found this over the years, that many religious community priests and many diocesan priests are having a very similar conversation, almost the same conversation, on important issues facing the church. And what combines them and unites them is that all of these conversations are important, they're rooted in the love of the church, and they're forward-thinking. We all want what's in our best interest for the people of God, the people we serve. And I see this conversation happening at the AUSCP as I saw it happening at the CMSM as well. And I think as a religious order guy, a religious community guy, I can be one of the bridges that brings those conversations together. And together, united, we can move forward. That's why I'm sitting here today. I'm very disappointed we're not together in Baltimore, but we're here online. It's the best we can do right now. But you know what? We're still going to do it. We're still going to serve. We're still going to have these important conversations. And we're still going to move forward, calling people to their holiness, calling people to live out their true vocations, whatever their vocation might be. I'm struck by these conversations. I'm challenged by these conversations, both the larger conversation I've had at AUSCP, the individual conversations I had over dinner, or just talking, or texting back and forth, or talking on the phone in between meetings. I'm proud to be part of this group. I've been involved, not from the very beginning, but I've been involved over the years. I've been on the Work and Labor Committee. I've been on the Immigration Working Group as well. I wish to continue to serve. So, in that sense, I guess I'm asking for your support. But as I look at the list of people running that have put their names forward for leadership, there is absolutely no downside to any of the people that have put themselves forward. So whoever gets elected, the ASUCP wins, and I still want to be part of it. I thank you for your time and your attention. I thank you for your patience with all this. And I promise you, you are regularly in my thoughts and my prayers. God bless.
Hello, I'm Father Norm Supenchek, and I'm a priest for about over 50 years. And I've lived a long life, and I've done a lot of different kinds of ministries, and that's why I'd really like to be part of the ministry that we do as AUSCP. And I've worked in campus ministry in the colleges, I've worked in campus ministry at the high schools, I've worked in parishes, I've been a pastor, I've been an associate, I've worked in hospitals, I've been all this kinds of ministries, and I love it. I love the ministry that we do, and I think that I come with a great background to bring in many, many different ideas and many thoughts to our ministry, to what we're trying to do. And I'm so glad, because we need a group that represents priests here in the United States. And so the United States Catholic Priests Organization is great for that. And so I want to be part of it, and hope you will think about electing me. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Simon Carrion from the Archdiocese of Santa Fe in New Mexico. Of course, you already have all of our biographical information in the little booklets that we've been given, so no need to bore you with any of that. But I just thought I would share a few reasons why I love being part of AUSCP, share with you a few hopes that I have for the future of our association. I love being part of AUSCP, which I see as having truly a prophetic voice for change in our church and in our world. I love the fraternity of our association, the friendships that are there, and especially as a younger member of the clergy, I love being able to learn from the wisdom and experience of so many of our members. I've been active in the Gospel Nonviolence Working Group of our association, and have especially loved getting to know at a deeper level some of the people there, and have been really inspired by them. It was members from that working group that suggested that I should run for a leadership team, and I'm very happy to give back to the organization in any way that I can. And especially I feel that I've been given a lot from being able to learn from everyone. And I just want to thank you for the amazing work that all of you do, and the inspiration that everyone is that's part of the AUSCP. And this time we're all reeling from seeing the racism and the police brutality which has gone on in our country for far too long. But AUSCP has had a prophetic voice against the systematic racism and injustice in our country. Think even 3 years ago, we had Father Brian Massingale to address our assembly on exactly these issues. I think we have people like Father Harry Burry right there on the front lines in Minneapolis, bringing about healing and Jesus' peace to people. And I'm very proud and happy to be part of such an association. A few things that I have of hopes for the future are, first of all, I think we need to keep alive the spirit of Vatican II in our church, a spirit of change, a spirit of not being afraid to let go of old structures that don't work anymore, that maybe aren't even part of Jesus' gospel in the first place, so that we can reach people and actually bring about the justice in our world that comes with knowing Jesus and his gospel. I would love to see that passed on to a younger generation of Catholics and priests that frankly haven't known that spirit yet. And I want to do my part to help in our association to reach out to younger clergy and younger Catholics. And I really think that that could be done. And I think one way that we can do it is also by adopting Martin Luther King Jr.'s threefold schema of how to combat injustice in our world. He said, of course, that we need to fight bigotry and racism, we need to fight poverty and injustice, and we need to fight war and violence. And kind of along those three fronts, in terms of racism and bigotry, an important issue that I think we have in our church is looking at LGBTQ issues. We just seen in our country a landmark decision protecting the rights of LGBTQ workers. But what about in our church? It's one of the last places where that bigotry really is allowed to continue. And I think AUSCP really has a leading voice trying to bring about an end to that bigotry. We got to think about the role of women in our church and all of the anti-feminism that is prevalent. And again, AUSCP has a strong prophetic voice against all of that. In my own New Mexico, I'm very concerned with immigration, and I'm the pastor of 3 Native American pueblos, and just all of the issues against bigotry, against racism, I think are so important. Secondly, fighting poverty and fighting injustice. And this is where I think we can really get all Catholics involved in this and on board, and younger clergy. The social gospel really is the best kept secret of our church. And finally, and I feel very strongly that we need to take up again our role as evangelists of the gospel of nonviolence and opposing war, opposing violence in all of its forms. But I think along those 3 lines, which AUSCP has already done so much and so well, but to continue along those lines so as to also give the real spirit of Jesus and the spirit of everything that's best in our church, to pass that on to the next generations and younger people too. Those are some of the great hopes that I have for our association. Again, I just want to thank you all, and thank you for the amazing work that each of you do and for being the inspiration that you are. Thank you, and may God bless you.
All right. Thank you very much for candidates for your input and helping us and guiding us as we move into the election tomorrow. And right now I want to say, so this concludes our first day of this virtual assembly. And we're expecting a lot of emails to be coming to you overnight. So I hope that what you do is you pay attention to them and look for our link to tomorrow morning's or, well, it depends on where you're at, 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock, our gathering. So we start at 1 o'clock on the East Coast, 10 o'clock on the West Coast. Jim Schexnayder, you have to get up early, I'm sorry. The leadership team is going to meet tonight at 8:30, which is an hour, no, it's 50 minutes from now. And you got a link from that meeting from Jackie this morning. So have a good evening, everybody. I'll be looking forward to seeing you tomorrow at 1, 12, 11, 10. Have a good night, and thanks for being with us today.